Welcome to the Legoz Quick Start presentation. This presentation is structured in 3 parts and provides a comprehensive introduction to Legoz and the processes it supports. It covers the creation and linkage of organizations, the establishment of key roles and functional users, and the integration of data sources. By the end of the presentation, a clear understanding will be established of how these elements interact within the system. The first task in this session is the creation of a new organization. This is followed by the creation of 5 distinct roles, which are then associated with the organization. The first 3 roles are functional in nature and demonstrate how owner, developer, and super user role types are assigned and utilized within the system. The remaining 2 roles illustrate how menu access can be restricted based on role assignment. Once these roles have been established, 4 user accounts are created and linked accordingly. To begin, log into Legoz using valid user credentials that provide access to the security module. Once authenticated, select the Security Administration Explorer option. Depending on the level of access granted, the organization menu will be displayed, showing existing organization records within the system in the tree view. To create a new organization, select the Create button at the top of the organization's menu. The Create New Organization modal will then appear. The organization code and description fields are marked with a red asterisk, indicating that they are mandatory. Enter the required organization code and description in the respective fields. For the purposes of this demonstration, demo.org is used as the organization code. It should be noted that terms and conditions, as well as 2-factor authentication, can be configured at an organization level. However, these features are not covered in this demonstration. For further information, refer to the Create Organizations training module. Once the organization code and description have been entered, navigate to the Options section and select the Active Indicator checkbox. This checkbox is used to activate or deactivate an organization within the system. Once all mandatory information has been entered, the Save button becomes enabled, allowing the organization setup to be finalized. Select the Save button. A confirmation message will be displayed, indicating that the record has been created successfully. The newly created organization will then appear in a new tab, with the roles grid for that organization active on screen. Following the creation of an organization, default insight roles are automatically applied. Any additional roles required must be created manually. In the following section, roles will be created and configured to grant specific access to functionality within the system. Legoz utilizes role types to manage functional segregation, ensuring quality assurance and supporting object versioning during the development and exposure of data objects for user consumption. For detailed information on the functionality associated with each role type, refer to the role type definitions in the General Concepts training module. The following roles are created to support object versioning and manage menu access within the system. Developer, this role is configured and assigned to user accounts to grant access for the creation, configuration, and modification of data objects. Owner, user accounts assigned to this role act as owners of specific data sources and are responsible for approving data objects created by developers on those data sources. Super user, users assigned to this role are authorized to approve data objects created by developers on behalf of owners, even where ownership of the relevant data sources does not apply. Limited menu access, this role provides access to all modules within Legoz, excluding administrative menu items. Full menu access, users assigned to this role are granted access to all menus within Legoz. When configuring a new organization, it is considered best practice to create all roles and user accounts from within the organization itself. Due to the platform's security structure, a user must already have access to the new organization's menu before full administration can take place. For this reason, the initial step is to create an administrative menu access role and assign it to the current user account. This enables the signed-in user to switch organizations and access the required menu items needed to create additional users and roles. Once the switch to the new organization has been completed, configuration of the remaining roles and user accounts can continue within the correct organizational context. Let's proceed with configuring these roles. Navigate to the Roles menu and click on it. The Role menu expands to display all available role records. For the purposes of this demonstration, new roles are created, however, this is not always required. Where a suitable role already exists within the system, it can be linked to a new organization. Select the Create Roles button to open the new role modal. Enter a unique role code and description. The full menu access role is created first. In this example, the role is created as demo_admin. Once a role code and description have been entered, the Save button becomes enabled. Select the Save button to proceed. A confirmation message is then displayed, indicating that the record has been created successfully. The newly created role appears in a new tab, with the organization's grid for that role active on screen. It is important to note that the role is automatically linked to the organization associated with the logged-in user by default. To link the new organization to the full access role, select the Link Organizations icon located at the top right-hand side of the organization's grid. This action opens the Link Organizations modal. Currently linked organizations are displayed on the left-hand side of the modal, while organizations available for linking are shown on the right-hand side. To link a new organization, select the green arrow next to the relevant record in the available organizations list. In this example, the demo.org record is selected. Once selected, the Save button becomes active. Select the Save button to proceed. A confirmation message is then displayed, and the newly linked organization appears in the organization's grid for the demo_admin role. As this is a full access role, there is no requirement to associate it with a role type. However, configuration is still required to ensure that the appropriate menu access is granted to users linked to the role. When assigning menu access to a role, it is important to consider that any user account associated with that role will be able to access and interact with the modules configured for it. To do this, click the Menu Access function icon in the grid next to the demo.org organization. The Menu Access modal will open. Each menu item is displayed with two configuration options, visible and enabled. Check both the visible and enabled option for each menu item with the exception of the Download Center option, which is only required when using distributed objects. Once all required selection boxes have been checked, select the Save button to proceed. In order to create user accounts for a specific organization, the signed-in user must first be linked to the newly created organization. To do this, select the linked users icon next to the demo.org record. The link users modal will open. Note that the currently signed-in user of admin@fraxsys.com is available to link. To link the user to the demo.org organization for the demo_admin role, select the arrow next to the relevant record. The Save button becomes active. Select it to proceed. The admin user is now linked to the demo.org organization. To ensure complete data segregation and tenant security, new organizations are initially created using the Fraxsys administrator account within the default Fraxsys organization. Once the organization has been configured, a dedicated administrator account is created within the new organization itself, and all Fraxsys organization access is then removed. This approach ensures each organization remains fully isolated, with its own secure administrative ownership and controlled access boundaries. So far in this video, a new organization and admin role have been created and linked, and the admin@fraxsys.com user has been associated with them. The next step in establishing tenant security is to switch to the newly created organization. Switching organizations is easy. Navigate to the account management icon in the bottom left-hand corner of the application desktop. Select it. The account management modal will open. Select the Organizations tab. A number of organizations will be displayed. Select the Switch button next to Demo Organization to change the active organization to the newly created organization. Once completed, select the X button next to the Account Management tab heading to close the modal. With the admin user signed into the correct organization, the next step is to create the admin user for the new organization. Let's create the admin account. Begin by selecting the Users menu option. Select the Create Users button. For the purposes of this demonstration, enter the following user account information. Email address, demo_admin@demo.com. First name, demo. Last name, admin. Password, enter a secure password. Select the Active Indicator checkbox under the Options section. Once all required information has been captured, the Save button becomes enabled. Select the Save button to proceed. The modal will close, and a new tab will open for the user record, with the roles grid and the linked roles modal active on screen. All roles already linked to the user account are listed on the left-hand side of the linked roles screen. On the right-hand side, all available roles that can be linked to the user account are displayed. Link the demo_admin role by selecting the arrow next to each record. This role will then appear in the linked roles grid. Select the Save button. The remaining data for the new organization will be created by the new admin account that was just created. First, switch organizations back to the Fraxsys organization and then log out of Legoz. Log back in using the new admin account. Upon signing in, a password change prompt will be displayed. Enter a new password. Once completed, access to Legoz will be granted. To ensure data segregation between the Fraxes and demo.org tenants, the admin at fraxes.com user account is edited and both demo.org roles are unlinked from the account. Once completed, select the Save button to apply the changes. Refresh the System Administration Explorer and confirm that the admin at fraxes.com user is no longer visible within the user's tree view. With an understanding of how to create a role now established, the same process can be followed to create the remaining 4 roles required for this demonstration. Create the developer role as demo_developer. Navigate to the Roles menu item to proceed. Select the Create Roles button. Enter Demo Developer as the unique role code and Developer role as the description. Select the Save button. Create the Owner role as demo_owner. Select the Create Roles button. Enter Demo Owner as the unique role code and Owner role as the description. Select the Save button. To create the super user role as demo_superuser, select the Create Roles button. Enter demo_superuser as the unique role code and super user role as the description. Select the Save button. To create the limited menu access role as demo_app role, select the Create Roles button. Enter demo_app as the unique role code and limited menu access role as the description. Select the Save button. With all required roles now created for this demonstration, role types can be assigned accordingly. It should be noted that all roles created during this process remain open as individual tabs on screen. To assign the developer role type to the demo developer role, select the relevant tab, then choose the types function icon next to the demo.org organization for that role. The role type modal will open, displaying all available role types. It should be noted that no role types are currently assigned to the demo developer role for the demo.org organization. Select the arrow next to the developer role type to associate it with the demo developer role. Finally, select the Save button to apply the changes and return to the Roles tab. With the process for assigning a role type now established, the same steps can be followed to assign the Owner role type to the demo owner role and the super user role type to the demo super user role. The demo app role grants users access to create, configure, and interact with data objects. To proceed, select the relevant role, then choose the menu access function icon in the grid next to the demo.org organization. Only select the following Legoz access structures, Legoz and release notes. For the selected menu items, ensure that both the visible and enabled options are checked. Once all required selection boxes have been checked, select the Save button. With these steps completed, users are granted appropriate access to platform functionality based on their assigned roles. This establishes the necessary security baseline for efficient and controlled platform usage. With an understanding of the user account creation process now established, proceed with creating the demo_developer, demo_owner, demo_superuser, and demo_user accounts accordingly. The developer account is created as demo_developer and linked to the developer and demo app roles. The owner account is created as demo_owner and linked to the owner and demo app roles. The superuser account is created as demo_superuser and linked to the superuser and demo admin roles. Finally, the demo user account is created as demo_user and linked only to the demo app role. Parts 2 and 3 will cover the creation of a data source and data objects, the application of the configured security roles, and a demonstration of the access levels available to different users within the system. Thank you for watching.